Hi friends! This week, I feel like doing some coloring. And as you know, I'm always down to try some new techniques. So let's just jump in. I'm going to use this coloring book by Creative Paula, and I've used this one before, and I love it because the illustrations are so simple and bold, and they're really easy to color. Okay, so first we're going to start with this page. And for this one, I'm going to do something called the Polaroid Effect. I like this one because it seems like it would be pretty simple, but it also looks really cool. And I chose this page for it because there really is just one sort of main focal point in this picture anyway. The rest of the picture is background. First, I just need to figure out how big the Polaroid's going to be. This seems about the right size. I shortened it a little bit and then squared off the corners with a ruler. Then I need a little rectangle at the bottom where the white part is going to be. You know, that part that you hold when you're flapping a Polaroid around? I don't know if you can see it, but there is a Polaroid outline there. It'll be more obvious when I color it in. Which I'm going to do now, starting with the area within the Polaroid. So, a creamy yellow bunny. And for this, I'm just coloring it in how I normally would. You know, bold colors, blocky shadows, and then I got interrupted.
Who's tiptoeing down them stairs? Who you be? Hi.
What are you doing? I don't think you're supposed to be down here.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
In case you missed my community post, Penny has now entered the criminal phase of puppyhood. Constantly committing petty crimes like disturbing the peace and vandalism. This moment was when I figured out that she defeated the baby gate, keeping her from coming down to the basement. After a quick walk and gate reinforcements, we can get back to this. Now, like I was saying, I'm just coloring this in how I normally would, but I'm only filling in the area within the rectangle. As I'm coloring this though, I realize that this picture isn't quite as colorful as I want it to be. I mean, there's only really yellow and blue, but I want it really vibrant so that the Polaroid really stands out. I tried adding some darker areas on the sky swirls, some blocky shadows to the clouds, and it still wasn't enough, so I just decided to try and add extra color wherever I could. Like some pink highlights in the sky, because why not? And I deepened the purple on the mountaintop, and then added even more pink to the sky. I even added another shadow around the bunny. Finally, I couldn't think of anything else, so now I'm going to color in the whole rest of the picture in grayscale. I've never done grayscale before, but I'm just using my neutral tone grays and aiming for the same sort of value as the colored sections. Then adding a few shadows so that it matches. Now, for the Polaroid part, first I'm going to start with a fat white border around the outside. I outlined it first with a white gel pen and a ruler just to make sure it was all straight. Then I used a white paint pen to fill it in. Then I'm going to use my black Fineliners to draw an outline on either side of the white border. I wasn't sure how thick I wanted the line to be, so I started thinner and built it up until it looked good. I'm just sort of eyeballing it. Then I added a shadow so that it looks like it's laying on top of the picture. Last, we just need a little title for the snapshot. And this one is done. I really like this. I think next time I would maybe pick a picture with more colors because I think that would look even cooler and make the Polaroid stand out more from the grayscale. But I still really like the way this looks, and it was really easy to do. For this next page, I want to try a few different techniques, but specifically, I want to try this iridescent technique on the bubbles. So jumping right in, first we're going to start with a light yellow around the outside, followed by a light blue, then a light pink, and a light orange in the center. And I'm working fairly quickly while the marker is still wet so that it blends better. Ooh, I already love that. I'm going to go over everything one more time, this time overlapping the colors just a touch more and making it even more blendy. Then I'll just go through and repeat it on all the other bubbles. After that, we're going to step away from the bubbles for a minute to work on the grass. And I'm going to try a different technique for the grass than the one that I tried before because that one didn't come out so great. Also, I do have a palette card here just in case. So for this technique, I'm using 4 different greens in the same hue. And first, I'm going to fill in the whole area with the lightest green. Then for the next lightest color, I'm going in and adding a ton of grass blades, like a ton. Then for the third color, I'm going to add some little patches of grass. There's still a lot of them, but less than the individual blades. And for the darkest green, I'm going back over some of the patches, and this is going to be even less than before. Then I'm going to take a white paint marker or gel pen and add some white highlights on some of the blades and some little white flowers. Not sure about that one. So let's move over to the bear. And I want to try this fuzzy fur technique. Kind of more like a teddy bear than a real bear. So again, I'm starting with 4 different shades of the same brown color. And starting with the lightest color first, working in small sort of swirls. Then switching to the second color while it's still wet, and then going back in with the first color to go over and blend a bit more. Now to the third color, working outwards, and then back to the second color to blend. Then finally the darkest color, and blending some more with the third color. Make sense? I'm just working in smaller sections around the bear so that I can work while the marker is still wet. Now to make the fuzzy part. We're going to go back in and add dots everywhere. I'm using the same color marker on top of itself, so the lightest marker on top of the lightest marker. And just adding dots galore. I do feel like I maybe made the lightest section a little too big, so I did use the second color to add dots over it and sort of tone it down. But otherwise, the same color is on top of itself. The dots do look really dark and aggressive at first, but as they dry, they fade and blend just a little bit into the bear. Cute! Okay, for the sky, I just want to go with a plain blue. Nothing fancy. Then, I decided that I didn't like those white flowers, so I changed them to this light salmon pink that's on the palette card, and I just used a paint pen for that. I honestly don't know if it made a difference. But now, let's finish those bubbles. I'm going to start by going over the black outline with a pinky magenta paint pen. The tutorial that I'm borrowing this from wasn't actually for bubbles, it was a iridescent monster jellyfish thing. And I've seen the iridescent technique used on other items, so I'm not quite sure how this is going to work on the bubbles. Now, after the pink outline, we're going to go over it with a thin white line in the center, kind of like when we did the neon technique. But when I got going, I wasn't actually sure that I liked it. I don't know, it just doesn't look right to me. So I tried going over the whole pink line with white to see if it was pink that was the problem, and I didn't really like that either. But when I used a brush tip white paint pen, it sort of picked up some of the pink paint underneath and mixed it in so it was more of a light pink outline. And I think I like that. At least enough to stop messing with it. Then I just need to color in this wand, and I'm just going to go with black. And of course, I need to add some fat white highlights to the bubbles. And this one is done. As far as the grass, it's okay, but I think I want to keep experimenting with different techniques to see what I like best. The fuzzy bear is adorable. And for the bubbles, I love the iridescent colors. Ooh, I just want to take a bite out of that big bubble. But I'm still not sure about the outlines. Of the 3 versions, the black outlines, the dark pink, or the blendy light pink, which one do you like best? The last page I'm going to show you ended up being a fail, but they can't all be winners. So for this one, I wanted to try something called the jelly effect. I've never tried this before, but it looks so cool. And these 2 bears seemed perfect. So for the little bear, I'm going to go in with really light versions of pink, purple, and blue because he's a baby. And I'm just sort of outlining the bear a little and then filling it in. I really don't know what I'm doing. I could not find an in-depth explanation of where to place the colors. They were all like, just fill it in, but I can't believe that it's just random. Then we're going to go back in with a slightly darker color and add some blobs. The tutorial compared it to blobs in a lava lamp. This kind of just looks like tie-dye more than anything jelly-like. Then we're going to go in with some fat white highlights. And then we're going to use a darker version of the colors to add smaller blobs. Supposedly, the white highlights help us decide where the darkest blobs go. But this doesn't look anything like a jelly bear. Maybe if I darken his eyes up, will that help? No. So I tried a different tutorial for this larger bear. I will link all of the tutorials in the description box. Now for this bear, I'm going with a more saturated pink, purple, and blue because he's not a baby. And I'm going with bigger chunks of color that will sort of blend into each other. And I did the same thing for the body, except I did patches instead of a gradient. I don't know, the instructions were not clear. Then we're going to go in with some big old blobs in a slightly darker version of each color. And we're making them all different sizes and shapes. So far, this is just looking like a weird Lisa Frankish cheetah print. But we'll trust the process and keep going. Now, then we're going to make more little blobs with a darkest color. This is just not looking great to me. I tried to overlap the darkest blobs into the other colors so that it looked a bit more fluid and less stripy, but I just don't know if this is going to look good. I mean, we're not going to know until the very end, but right now I think it kind of looks like butt. I tried going back in with the lightest color and overlapping the background a bit more and going around some of the blobs with a different color, but whatever I'm doing just isn't right, and it kind of looks like really colorful mold. How do they make this look so easy? Okay, the last step is to give it giant, juicy highlights, then smaller, thinner highlights, and then lots of sparkle all over. I never would have thought to do that, but that is what they do. And the highlights did help. I mean, highlights always help, but not enough. I think that this technique is one that's going to require a bit more practice, and maybe a super duper specific tutorial. So I'm going to leave this page where it is for now. And that's all the pages I had time for this week. What did you think? As always, let me know the techniques and effects that you're loving or want to see me try. These videos are always so much fun for me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.